was meditating through the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38 and chapter 39, a few verses from chapter 39 stood out to me. I would like to read verse 28. It says, "Then they shall know that I am the Lord their God, who sent them into captivity among the nations, but also brought them back to their land and left none of them captive any longer." So from this verse we understand that it was God who took Israel into captivity. And it was God himself who brought them out of captivity. Why does God have to do that? Send them into captivity and get them out of captivity? The answer for this question is in verse 23, where it says, the Gentiles shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they were unfaithful to me. Therefore I hid my face from them. I gave them into the hand of their enemies, so they all fell by the sword. So it is because of Israel's unfaithfulness. We all know that Israel is God's chosen nation. So whenever Israel used to go away from God, God used to give them away into the hands of their enemies or lead them into captivity, so that Israel repents, and once they turn back to God, God delivers them from their captivity. In fact, this entire passage from 21 to 29 talks about how God delivers them and restores Israel back to their land. Now, what does this has to do with our lives? Now, just like how God sent Israel into captivity, sometimes in our life also, God takes us into captivity. God takes us into situations that we don't like to go into. Now, I have been through such situations in my life when I pray, God, this is not what I prayed for. This is not what I asked for. This is not the path I wanted to go through. But God leads us through that path, and when I look back, I'm so thankful to God, because in the path that I went through is when I'm more closer to God. I learned to rely more on God. I'm so dependent on God because there is no one else to help me other than God. So whenever we go into our situation of captivity, remember that God is with us and He is there to help us, and He will deliver us from those situations. And at the same time, people around us will know that God is with us, and that is the main reason that He's taking us into those situations. Also, we will get closer to God, and we will also be able to glorify God's name when we are into captivity. As I said earlier, this passage from 21 to 29 talks about how God restored Israel back to its land. So we understand the restoration nature of our God. So God can restore anything in our life. God can restore our health. God can restore the opportunities you lost. God can restore your job. God can restore all of the material blessings that you have lost in your life. But beyond all of those things, today I would like to remind the prayer of David in Psalm 51:12, where he talks about, "Restore unto me the joy of salvation." Now we all know this. Psalm 51 is a very famous passage where David goes to God with a repentant heart because he sinned against God, and he says, "Create in me a clean heart," and then moves on to say, "Restore to me the joy of salvation." David understood that he felt the joy of salvation being taken away because he sinned against God. Now we need to make this prayer in our life also, because sometimes the joy of salvation diminishes in our heart and we don't realize it as Christians. We think that, okay, my Christian life is going very well. I'm going to church, I'm reading my Bible, I do all the Christian duties very well, and everything is fine. It's like in a family, if you don't spend a good time with your family or with your spouse or with your children or with your parents, you lose that relationship, right? You feel a little distant in the relationship. The same thing happens with God as well. In a family, like how you do everything for your family but you feel distant, same thing, you do everything for God but you can be distant from God. So we need to be very careful and check our life where we are with God today and ask Him to restore the joy of salvation. The joy we had when we first accepted Christ diminishes over the period of time because of all the distractions in this world. The phone we have is having so many things. It's very addictive, right? It takes us slowly away from God. The media, our job, our family, it could be anything other than God. When we start prioritizing, it slowly drifts us away from God. But as Christians, sometimes it's very hard for us to admit the fact that we are away from God. But like I said, we do all the things as usual. We feel that everything is going well, but we might be in a distant relationship with God. So this evening, I would like to encourage you all to check where you are in relationship with God and see and make this prayer in your heart like David and say, God, restore to me the joy of salvation. Like, I want that joy which I had the first time I accepted Jesus. I want that overflowing joy to be in my heart all the time. Our God is a heavenly Father who is always willing. Just like how He pursued after Israel, He's pursuing after us. We are His chosen people. So He is always after us, and He is giving us many chances. He is taking us into captivity so that we will get closer to Him and we will have that joy in our heart. I would like to end this devotion by saying that verse from Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 13, which says, you will seek me and you will find me when you seek me with all your heart. Our God is so close, but all we need to do is we need to seek Him. If we seek Him with all our heart, He is very close to us, and He will restore all of the blessings that we have lost and all of our spiritual blessings. Some of us might even say that many years ago I used to pray for so many hours. I used to do this ministry for God. I used to do this for God, but now I'm not able to do that. But God is encouraging you all to go back and check if you have missed any of those spiritual blessings that He would like to restore it to you all. Thank you.